They killed somebody. They used to come here, deal drugs, sell drugs, dance, 10, 20 years in prison. Bartenders topless, men. Topless men, buffed out, and to the left was the nightclub. A shot was $12.
Back then?
Back then.
$12?
This area, after 11 p.m. till sunlight, till sunup, was full of prostitutes. We used to have bandanas on our heads. Remember, we were 15 years old.
Yeah.
Bandanas on the head, and I don't know if you remember, did you have roach clips with feathers? Because we're looking for a Larry Levan way. The sign that we just Googled is missing.
Every bit of debauchery could have happened in here.
My son just spent a year in San Francisco working for LinkedIn, and he thought he was going to a city like New York. And now that he's back, he's like, Dad, it sucked.
Welcome back, guys. Here we are in New York City, the Big Apple. Today we're gonna go meet up with a guy that lived through the 80s. Yep, an old DJ. And we're gonna meet him outside one of the most amazing nightclubs that ever existed. Yep, Studio 54. Here with Jeff.
Hey, Shae.
Hey, mate.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
This
How's
is
everything?
amazing. All the way across, halfway across the world, here
Wonderful.
I am.
It's nighttime there now, huh?
Yeah, back home, I don't know what they're doing. There's like kangaroos and kiwis jumping around in the middle of the night, you know?
just muggers and stuff like that.
We are standing in one of the outside one of the most monumental, notorious nightclubs ever to existed. Every bit of debauchery could have happened in here. You actually attended Studio 54, didn't you?
I did come here. It was after its heyday, but I came here for like a good year and a half. Had to be 82, 83, maybe into 84.
Right. So this club started, what was it, like 70?
I think it started in 77,
78.
78.
Yeah.
And it was full of movie stars. You couldn't get down the block. There were barricades. The owners, Schrager and Rubel, used to stay out here and just pick people out, the bouncers. And if you weren't a celebrity, you didn't come in.
Right.
So I was too young. I was 12 years old in 1978.
Wow.
So a few years later, a few blocks away in Times Square, you get fake ID. And it was ridiculously fake. And we were able to get into all these nightclubs. And we used to come here with my boys and my friends from Brooklyn.
Right. Now, how did you get in? Because, man, you either have to be dressed up or a celebrity, really?
So at that time, the celebrity part of it was down. It was not really happening anymore. The original owners sold. They were arrested for tax evasion, whatever. It was sold to new owners, and they kept promoting it, and they got mailing lists, and we went down. We came down regularly. It was still hot. It was great. There were barricades. They still picked you out, but it wasn't like you had to be Michael Jackson or Diana Ross.
People said that you could just come down here and watch, was it Steve, outside picking out people, and it was just entertaining to watch it.
It was.
Because he might even criticize you. He said, like, you can't come in looking like that, you know.
You have horrible pants on. What's that jacket? There's stories abound about that.
But there was that exclusivity kind of thing wasn't much a thing before Studio 54.
No, not at all.
Did these guys, in some way, they might have invented that, you know, like?
Yeah, well, it was part of the whole nightlife situation in New York. Where there wasn't it was the beginning of the disco era too. So it was hot. You had the records, the DJs were starting. WKTU was a big thing and created this whole music industry.
Yeah.
And they just took advantage of it. Let's get them to come in according to what we think.
Yeah.
And it worked for them.
Yeah. And apparently, like, dressing up and just looking large would help you get in. So they wanted to fill up with a diverse range of fun, colorful people, you know, like
females, a lot of women. They loved the women because that attracted the good-looking guys.
Yeah.
When I came, I guess it was more of like what they call the bridge and tunnel crowd. This is Manhattan. There's 4 other boroughs, and that's called bridge and tunnel because to get into Manhattan, you come in a bridge and a tunnel.
Yeah.
So when they were exclusive, we were not allowed in. But after they sold and they wanted to market it to other people, we came in. So it was a mix of the exclusive clientele with us.
Okay.
And it was made fun of. It was like, oh, bridge and tunnel. Then they'd stop coming. And we went to the other clubs that we'll discuss in a bit. And you see, this is the original marquee on front, on top.
So you call this a marquee, right?
Yes.
And is these the original kind of little lights? Like they would have this kind of lights here? Look at that, guys. Check it out.
And back in 2013,
Yeah.
my good friend Geronimo, he's the program director at Sirius XM.
Yeah.
They had a Studio 54 reunion.
Oh, wow.
And transformed this whole place back into
Oh, my
Studio
God.
54.
That's amazing.
And they put the marquee, it said 54 by Sirius.
Yeah.
And they took all the seats out inside. It's a stage. It's
Wow.
and made it a club again with the original lights.
I mean, did other clubs have
Marquees like this?
Or anything
Not
like
really,
this?
no.
So it's a theater style,
Yes.
but for a nightclub.
And it's
Yeah.
original. It said Studio 54 right on top. And if you look at the doors, the original doors are here.
Oh my God. Let's go have a look at that.
Check these doors out. Later on, this
No
will open.
way.
They've actually opened downstairs. That's the main venue where they have plays. But these are the original doors. They probably weigh
Holy.
about 50, 70 pounds each. When you open them, you have to pull.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
they're
so
heavy.
many stars and celebrities open these doors, including us bridge and tunnel folk.
So it's basically saying you're not from Manhattan,
Right.
you know?
Like there was another club called Regine's, also very similar.
Yeah, okay.
They never went bridge and tunnel. It was celebrities and mobsters. Sammy the Bull in his web thing on YouTube speaks about him and John Gotti going there and whatnot. So it was either you had to be somebody to be there. So that will actually take
Is
you
it the
in.
basement? Is it? Okay, I've heard about the basement.
The basement is actually it's a lounge now. It's a lounge now. You want to try and get in?
Yeah, we'll just see. Like, we just want to. I'll do the talking. So Jeff, take us through entering the nightclub and what do you see and what happens when you go in
So
there.
I do recollect them being stanchions, and there was a line down the block,
Yep.
and they did pick you out. And as I said, if you came with a good-looking crowd and maybe a lot of girls,
Yep.
you would be swept in. If you came with a bunch of guys with the gold chains, no way. That was known as bridge and tunnels. There was no way. So basically, you would go in. Inside this, beyond these beautiful doors, is a wide open lobby, just like a Broadway theater. It was at one time a theater. It is again. And you'd walk in. There's more doors inside. There's a bar on the right, and they used to have even the bartenders topless men.
Yeah,
Topless
yeah.
men buffed out, and
Yeah.
to the left was the nightclub. And there was an upstairs part, there was a VIP room. So when I came in 83, 82, 83, 84, it was more, still disco was still hot.
Still disco.
In New York.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
it never really died here, that era. But electronic dance music. Groups, songs like Shannon, like Let the Music Play, Give Me Tonight, Alicia.
Yeah. Because that's what
that whole
disco
era.
did. It kind of transitioned actually into house a bit, you know, like, I mean, like the drum kit was replaced with the 808, you know.
Exactly.
And
So you had the electronic, not as deep as you'd find at the Fun House or the Garage,
Yeah.
but you'd had electronic good music.
yeah,
It was
great.
fantastic. I probably came here 10, 15 times.
Yeah, great.
You know, there's a lot of clubs in New York. In
Oh, yeah.
Manhattan, you would come in here, if it wasn't crowded, you'd leave, go to another one.
Yeah.
It's not like your only choice.
Yeah. And when you came in here, did you feel like I'm coming into some sort of nostalgic thing? Because you'd obviously heard about it, right?
It wasn't nostalgic yet, it was cool.
wow.
It was a cool feel. Like,
So-
oh, we're going to studio.
It hadn't gained its like.
No. It's like going to the Empire State Building where you couldn't get in before.
I see.
So now you're allowed in, and you're like,
It's
oh,
okay.
it's cool.
And as the more stories and everything kind of looking back came out, it has earned itself this historic
Exactly.
sort of.
Just like anything in
title.
life. Like, who knows what's going to happen today? Today could be a historic day.
Oh, yeah.
And what were you doing at 10 o'clock in the morning?
The amount of things that went on in here, you know, you got all the celebrities coming through. These two guys running the club that were seriously just party animals, like
Mm-hmm.
wanting to just impress you with the most, like they would have, some nights they would have free drinks.
Yeah.
And give away cocaine. People
That wasn't during my era. That stopped.
No, that stopped. Obviously, you know, the feds got onto it and it got all crazy. But yeah, the amount of love and happiness people were experiencing coming out this night, they're all high.
It's a great era. The whole disco through electronic era through the late 80s was just a fantastic time, especially in New York. And you're not going to find anything original like this in any of the other venues you're going to see.
Yeah.
You're not going to find, oh, that's the original Doors 2, whatever. This is it.
That's the last thing, is there would be the doors and then everything else has been stripped out.
Out of all the clubs.
So Jeff, you're a DJ. Tell us about how you started.
All right, pretty cool. And actually middle school, which would have been in like 1980, before I started coming to these clubs.
Yeah.
We used to hang out in my friend's basement in Brooklyn. And we used to learn how to mix. He had a DJ system. And when I got into college, I bought my first 1200s. And but before that, I was training with these two mix match turntables. I had a Sony and a Sanyo, and they were belt drive. If anyone knows about DJing, you need a direct drive. I didn't know. I learned that later on. And I literally taught myself how to mix in my parents' basement in Canarsie, Brooklyn.
Wow.
And it was great. I started making a lot of cassettes. I still have some of them, and many of them are horrible because, you know, mixing with a turntable, belt drive especially, to mix and match beats is not an easy thing. Yeah. Much easier today with electronic. So I learned how to mix, and I wanted to experience this in clubs. And I started going to a lot of the teen clubs, Brooklyn at the time, and parts of Queens. Had a lot of teen clubs, Zorros, Illusions, Patches, Roller Palace, Laces. A lot of these clubs, I was super young, but we were going.
Yeah.
And when I see a lot of the people now talking about it, they're in their mid-60s. I'm like a decade under them, and I'm like, wow. So I loved learning how to DJ, and I wanted to experience the New York City scene. Brooklyn was great, and it was hot, and they were very trendy. They knew what was the songs were going on, but it was nothing like Manhattan. So once I came here, it just opened up my musical tastes.
Yeah.
And my what I wanted to play. And I still play that style of music in a more modern version. But also, I'm mixing the old stuff all the time, love it. So this area we're walking in right now, we're on 54th and 11th.
Yeah.
All right, so west side. From here going to Port Authority and a few blocks over, which is 42nd Street.
Yeah.
This area, after 11 p.m. till sunlight, till sunup,
Yeah.
was full of prostitutes everywhere. Right. And if you pulled over just to get like a drink at a bodega,
Yeah.
they would either approach you or the cops would approach you and tell you to get lost.
Wow.
Because they think you're there for one thing.
Yeah.
And literally every corner, there was 4 or 5 on each corner.
Okay, so we're outside this kind of venue. And what was this place called?
This was at one time 4D, and then it became Visage. And then after my time, it was Club Exits, which was tremendous in the 90s.
Tell us about the vibe here. Like.
Typical Manhattan nightclub. It was dressy, and it was just a batch of good people, and the music was fantastic. There was always a line, as you can see the stanchions here, probably the same ones from the 80s. I remember the sound system was pumping.
Yeah.
Very good sound system. Yeah. Don't ask me who the DJ was, don't remember. We did promote this place. I was part of a group of guys that we did a lot of promotions in a lot of these nightclubs.
4D, were they talking like the fourth dimension, right?
Yes, because you would drink enough, or some people would do other stuff, and you'd be in the fourth dimension. But the music was great. Most people came for the music, to meet other people.
Now, if you guys have been to this club, comment about your experience here, either 4D or Visage.
This was 4D and Visage and 4D, yeah.
So we're not allowed in, but we're just having a look at the actual venue, and it's still an operational venue.
It looks like it's set up the same way it was back in the 80s. The stage and the banisters.
It's a big dance floor.
So they rent this out for private gigs, which is great. It's one of the few that still exists as a music venue. All right, so
we're on what, 12th Street?
12th Avenue.
12th Avenue.
We're heading towards 27th, heading downtown, and what used to be the Tunnel nightclub, and it looks like you can look over the scaffolding here and get some crazy shots of what's going on inside.
Oh wow, you can see the door, the archway.
It looks pretty cool. Just to let everybody know, we're about 4 feet under the camera.
So this used to be a railway yard?
Yes, it was a railway yard, and when it was a tunnel, there were 2 tunnels still open at the other end where the trains used to come into. Yeah. And the tracks were there and everything. So this wasn't the entrance in.
Oh, okay.
This must have been closed. The entrance was on 27th Street.
Oh, right. Let's go have a look.
But the thing about the tunnel, interesting, it was a very long-lived nightclub. I think it opened in 86, maybe 87.
Yeah.
So the era I used to come here in that time, it was house music. It was all house music. You know, there was some electronic. Disco was pretty much gone. And if you talk to people about the tunnel these days, I have a lot of friends who are like 10 years younger than me, and they experienced a different tunnel because the mid-90s, it was a mix of house music and rap music, hip hop.
Cool.
So when people talk about the tunnel, you have to ask them, what era did you go in? Because while it was the same building, it was totally different inside. So I was part of the original, I guess, the OG crowd that went to the tunnel.
So that was like house music. So it was like
old house.
That was a carry on from what's 54 set up, a fun,
Exactly.
kind of like anything goes a little bit, like
Exactly.
what you want.
It was a very chill crowd. Anyone was welcome to come in. It was more open than like a Studio 54, but everyone was here. It was a great party time. And again, the music was just classic house music. At the time, it wasn't classic, but it was what you know was classic music now, classic house. So now they're rebuilding this place.
Yeah.
And we got some great footage. That was really fantastic.
Let's
The doorway for the entrance was somewhere over here.
let's see if we can go find that right now, eh?
So we want to go stand over there? Oh, look through the window. I think it's where those guys are.
So we can see like a door there, and it was just a square door, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, and it was just the first 1 or 2 floors. What's going on top, I have no idea what it was. It was probably warehouse or office buildings. But this was the tunnel. And look at the floor. We got original New York City cobblestones that are probably 200 years old.
Yeah. Would you go here early or?
No, we never went anywhere early.
Yeah.
So you didn't get in the shower till 10:30. And we lived in Brooklyn. So it was 45 minutes to an hour ride and you had to find a spot. So usually you leave, you get here around 12:30. Have a good time getting in there. Iconic place. Tunnel nightclub. So all my 80s tunnel folks, shout out. And you 90s folks too. Yeah, it was a great place, man. I was done by then.
New York back in the 80s, what was it like compared to now? Like, was it more dangerous or was it safer? Or?
That's a fantastic question because these days, lots of people have left New York. They've moved to Florida or Texas or Arizona and whatever. If you move for work or you want something different for your family, that's great. But a lot of people moved out of fear. And they're like, New York is horrible, it's scary, it's dangerous. Firstly, they watch the news and they believe everything. So if there's someone trips on the subway or someone gets stabbed, and there are some bad stuff going on, it's going to make the headlines. But in the 80s, it was literally 100 times worse.
Wow.
Like there were muggers. Like I want to walk this block by myself at night on 27th and 11th right now because you just were scared for your life. And I was a young guy then. I was 20.
What would they do? You get robbed or something?
They'd mug you with a gun or a knife, and you had to give your money up. You had to walk in crowds. There was this area too, prostitution everywhere as well. There's nothing now here. It's probably indoors now because of the internet and apps and whatnot. But New York is way more safe. Cleanliness-wise, it's never been a clean city. So people say it's a dirty city. It was always dirty. It's just New York. There's something about New York, it has a vibe, and it attracts people who should be here. I'm a New Yorker. I was born in New York. I'll die in New York, hopefully in another 50 years. And something about the vibe here. And a lot of people said New York's dead, during and after COVID. And meanwhile, it's stronger than ever. It's bouncing back. That block we just walked on had to be $1 billion investment on a one block of construction, which is insanity. If it was a dying city, do you think anybody would be investing money in that? No. My son just spent a year in San Francisco working for LinkedIn, and he thought he was going to a city like New York. And now that he's back, he's like, Dad, it sucked. There's no social life. There's no cohesiveness. There's nothing like, oh yeah, we love San Francisco.
And San Francisco used to have something going on?
Yeah, it used to have a vibe, but now it's badly run city, and he hated it. And he had friends, but nobody went out. Here he has like 20 groups of friends, and could go in any part of Manhattan, they're there. Definitely get that too. Banksy at the Fun House. Right now, we are on West 26th Street between 10th and 11th Avenue, an extremely important block in the evolution of a lot of people's musical tastes, and especially mine and my DJing style. This is known as the Fun House Disco. Well, not any longer. Now I think it's an art studio with many offices in it, and these steps right here, I believe are the original steps. We used to wait online down the block.
Yeah.
Come on in. There was a bouncer, there were a few bouncers. There was John, but they were big guys. I was 15 years old at the time, and they used to frisk us. Some people had proper, paraphernalia in the holes in their leather coats.
Yeah, right. What are they looking for? Yeah,
they're looking for like uppers
knives and
just
drugs.
Drugs, really, marijuana. Not really Just stuff that...
So there's no weapons?
No weapons. Well, they were looking. They were still looking.
Yeah.
Those guys didn't carry weapons.
Yeah, chainsaw or something. Should we...
Nah, let's try and get in, see what's going on here. So let's see. Oh, and the door. Oh, these doors are not the original Fun House doors. So you come in, and this was the entrance. Hi. This way. There's something going on. So this has been totally redone over. So we could talk over here.
Same floor?
Yes, this was the main floor. This is exactly it.
This is probably the same floor, and it's been varnished. I mean, it's been clean.
So this was way back. Are we on now? Yeah, right? So this was probably 100 feet that way, another 50 feet that way.
Real big.
Went back further, and there was a big DJ booth in the shape of a clown, a Funhouse clown, a jelly bean used to DJ in. And this was standing on the real dance floor of the Funhouse. And these columns obviously were here, because you can't take columns away. But it's been totally redone. And yeah, that was all new stuff. They renovated everything. But we are standing in 526 West 26th Street.
How does it feel?
It feels good. It feels interesting. It's great. It's so different.
Yeah.
It's different. Nothing here except for the, floor.
Now, you came in here and it sort of changed your trajectory in life a little bit.
So it was one of these clubs. Like, I was going to mostly Brooklyn dress-up clubs, and this was a place that had a rep. Like, it's good, but be careful. There's a lot of weird people who go there. And it was known for drugs. You didn't have to do drugs. But when someone says, baby, don't go there, that to me, that means go there. So it was also, like I said, I went to Studio 54 was a different type of club. It was sort of more high class, even though they let middle class in, you had to dress up. This place, it was the anti-Studio 54.
Right.
And by that I mean, we wore shorts. We used to wear these shoes called Chinese slippers. They were black. It was bizarre. We used to have bandanas on our heads. Remember, we were 15 years old.
Yeah.
Bandanas on the head, and I don't know if you remember, did you have roach clips with feathers back in Australia?
I've seen them, but no one really wore it. Yeah.
So we used to wear these on the back of our bandanas for fashion.
This is like remember that movie, The Warriors?
Yes, it's very similar look, but we didn't have leather vests. So we used to wear cut-off T-shirts. We didn't have bellies back then, most of us.
Yeah.
We were thin. And we used to just cut off shirts, and there were a lot of guys who were very acrobatic and did kick dancing. And I can't do it, I never did the kick dance. And there was two stages. There was one middle stage, and there was another stage close to the game room, down that way. And then there was the big dance floor over there in front of the DJ booth. Tremendous dance floor. And there was a coat check down on the other end, and there was a balcony on top. And that's where some of the activities that shouldn't have been happening were happening up there. And there were these cars, these little toy cars for one person to sit in. Yeah. And there was like 5 or 10 of them, and you'd sit in there, whatever you were on, drunk or pot or whatever, and just sit in them, and people were dancing, and you'd get up and you'd dance, and it was just a bizarre atmosphere. But it was just a mix of people. No one cared who you are, what you are. And the music.
I mean, hence the name, right?
Fun House.
They really followed through.
And the DJ, Jellybean, amazing. His selection of music is just creative. He would pick stuff that you would never hear before. He'd play songs like The Hills of Kathmandu by Tantra. And it's a disco song, but it's 17 minutes long. Yeah. And he'd play the whole song.
But you just get into a trance.
Yeah, and he'd play Donna Summer, I Feel Love, the 15-minute version.
Yeah, that version's amazing.
Giorgio Moroder, and it just played. Everyone loved it. And if he never did, but if he would have cut something off, we would have killed him. What are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah, because you're getting into it.
Yeah. But coming to the Fun House and seeing how he used music to manipulate the crowd into a frenzy, literal frenzy. Yeah. Like there was a song. Like if you listen to some of the stuff now, it just sounds dated. There was a song called Action 78, and there was like a laugh in it. It was just a weird song. Everyone lost their minds. And there was a song called Beat the Clock and Spank, and there was a group called Bohannon. And when these songs came on, the whole there had to be 4,000 people in the club.
4,000?
Went nuts.
Jesus,
yeah, it was tremendous.
It's huge.
And there was a game room too on the other end, which was
This
another.
is like a rave.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Before
pre-rave
rave.
rave.
Yeah. When you mention those songs, you know, running long songs and the kind of hypnotic vibe to it, it's the same thing what kind of trance does to you, right?
Exactly. And a few times we were raided. The cops came running in.
Oh, yeah.
Police raids at 5, 6
They're looking
in the
for
morning.
drugs, right?
Plus we're open after hours. We weren't supposed to be. The club closed at 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, and it was open from 9 o'clock the night before. Yeah, totally illegal, but no one cared. And the cops came in and made everyone leave. I remember one night it was cold, and we had to get our coats, and it took forever. And the cops were like, move it. We're like, no, we get our coats. We were arguing with the cops.
But of course, your coat was a tiny little leather vest, right?
No, I think we wore the bombers. We wore the bombers back then. And then we went outside. It only happened like 2, 3 times. I was here a lot. And a lot of people from my neighborhood came in. And it was set up according to neighborhoods too. Like our middle stage was mostly, I'm from an area called Canarsie. This shirt is actually, I did a Fun House reunion a few years ago with a friend of mine. So the shirt is actually made as a dedication to the Fun House. So it says on the back, Brooklyn. So there used to be chants like Brooklyn rocks the house. There's another neighborhood called Ozone Park rocks the house. OZ rocks the house. Bronx rocks the house. And it was just, no one fought. There was never a fist fight. There was never.
Because everyone was high, right?
Everyone wanted to have a good time. And while people did meet people, significant others, or to date or hook up that night.
If anyone out there watching this has like their mum and dad met here, or the mum and dad are watching, shout out in the comments, put in your comments your story.
That would be very cool.
What kind of people like would you see at the Fun House? Like, since it's like quite like arty, you wouldn't get like celebrities or anything, would you?
We would never get many celebrities. We got pre-celebrities, and one in particular. You've heard of Madonna.
Oh, yeah.
You know Madonna.
Wow.
But she performed here. I saw her perform here, and she was dating John Jelly Bean Benitez. They were
the DJ.
The DJ here.
Yeah.
They were a thing, and he went on to produce many of her albums and remix her albums. Her first song, I might be wrong, was Sidewalk Talk, and John Jelly Bean Benitez did it and played it here, and it was one of our electronic style songs.
Right.
Like no one knows Sidewalk Talk by Madonna because it's not borderline, it's not into the groove. It was Fun House, pure Fun House, Madonna.
Wow. Yeah.
But someone you've heard on the radio, but not that huge, like a one-hit wonder. That's who I thought she was, a one-hit wonder. Okay, great. She's a Madonna, whoever she is.
Take that back.
Obviously not a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, I love Madonna. She's fantastic. So she started here or Danceteria.
Hey Madonna, if you're watching, can you write in your story?
Yeah, let us know. Where did you start? Was it here or Danceteria?
How'd you break up with Jelly? Right.
Yeah, that was sad. Why'd you break up with him? An interesting story that sticks in my brain. It's just stuck in a part of my brain. After one of those raids, we're walking right where we are right now, and there was a group of guys, probably 20, also that were in the Fun House.
Yeah.
And what they were doing, they were charging a roll-down metal wall, metal garage door like these. I think it's the one across the street. I'm going to show it to you.
Yeah.
Right beyond this FedEx truck. And they were banging their heads into it at full force running. It was that one. It had to be that one, yes. Something over here. It was a garage door, and they were banging their heads into it.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, this is it. And why? For shits and giggles. We had no idea, and we were just staring at them.
Well, it would have been like WWF, you know, like, because it would have moved, like the floor. So it's like, maybe it wouldn't hurt too much.
We were just sitting here watching them for 10 minutes bang their heads into the wall, and they weren't starting with anyone. They're like, watch us bang our heads. And we're like, okay, whatever, dude. Now, this is another club that also had an 80s and 90s thing to it.
Yeah.
Like Tunnel. This club, former club, is a decommissioned church, and there was a lot of controversy around it when it first opened. You might have heard of the Limelight.
Wow.
It still retains the name, but it's like a mall with restaurants in it right now.
Yes.
But when this club first opened in like 86 or 87, people were not happy. You know, it was a decommissioned church. People were like, how could you have a nightclub in a church? But they got rid of all the religious stuff. This was the entrance to get into the club. And we used to wait online here, and limos used to pull up here.
Wow.
And the mix of people was quite interesting. It was a lot of Bridge and Tunnel as well as Manhattan people. People wanted to check out the Limelight Disco. And just look at it. Just look at this place. It's like medieval type of a building. Many floors, and there was VIP lounges on its top. So I don't know what they were used for when it was a church.
Yeah.
But so this is where the bouncers used to stay, you know, and ID you and have you come into the club, as long as you don't look like a sketchy looking person.
And what part of your career were you at here? Were you club goer or you started DJing?
I was a club goer.
Yeah.
I was actually DJing. I was in college, so I was DJing by then. It was like 86, 87.
Yeah.
We used to promote this club and bring a lot of people in. We used to go to the beaches and hand out flyers. We used to come to the Limelight, and we used to cut off the corners, and if they came in with your corner cut off, you'd make $1 or $2 per person. So if you got 100 people coming in, it's a little side hustle.
Yeah.
I guess they do it now with apps, whatnot. So at this point in my career, I was DJing. I was doing college parties, I was doing weddings, I was doing block parties. It was just a great, iconic place to experience.
Yeah.
And again, you didn't know it was part of history because you were living it.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, it's a weird thing, a church turned into a club, but now it's just well known. Everyone, oh, Limelight. You went to Limelight. Peter Gation, who owned this, Tunnel, Palladium, which we're going to visit after.
Wow.
There's a great documentary about him on Amazon.
So he was like the Don.
He was the Don, and the thing was, Rudy Giuliani, the mayor at the time, didn't like nightclubs.
No, he didn't really.
He didn't like nightclubs. And Peter Gation had an eye patch because he was missing an eye, but it made him look like a pirate. It says so in the documentary. So that gave him this aura of like, who's this
criminal,
weird criminal guy with a patch, owns nightclubs and creating all this horrible stuff going on in Manhattan.
I never lose an eye, by the way, guys.
So Giuliani was very much against nightclubs, went after Peter Gation, and if I'm saying the name correctly, and they made him leave the country. He's back in Canada.
Wow. All right, let's see if we can get in here.
Yeah, it's Limelight. Beautiful. So this is all renovated, obviously.
Yeah.
Hi, we're just looking. We just saw him doing a little documentary about the Limelight Disco, so we wanted to walk in. Is there a way into like the next part? It used to be a mall, right?
Yeah, but no more.
No more, so it's closed? Nothing's there. You're the only,
many years ago.
I know. So you're the only venue that's still open in the entire Limelight building?
The other side is another restaurant.
Another.
Yeah.
But that's it, huh?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you. Wonder what's down there. So in the 90s, there was a bunch of kids called the Club Kids, I believe was the name. And the ringleader was this guy, Michael Alig. I might be getting his name wrong. They killed somebody.
Right.
They used to come here, deal drugs, sell drugs, dance. He killed somebody, did like 10, 20 years in prison, and he just recently died, maybe 2-3 years ago, I think right before COVID or during COVID. But he tried to come out again as a 40-year-old man, like, oh, Mr. Club. And people were like, I'm about to talk, not talk bad about someone who died, but like if you're somebody in the 80s or a club guy in the 90s, you can't come back after doing a stint in prison, even though you were Mr. Club Kid, thinking you're going to be club guy again. So I think that affected him too, and I don't know, I think he might have overdosed, sad, but.
Okay. Okay, we're outside the building, the number 30 West 21st
West
Street.
21st, yeah.
And this is where Danceteria was. Now, we had big performances in here. Billy Idol.
Prince.
Now, my favorite band's Duran Duran.
Duran Duran's awesome.
Like,
my friend's brother was a drummer.
right.
Cucarillo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Madonna, one of her earliest gigs was in here. You guys check out the video, link to it.
Yeah.
Now, what was the vibe here? You went here?
So Danceteria was very much, it was a mix of like a Fun House vibe, not as street, and like a Palladium vibe. We had a lot of people who wanted to hear the newest music and experience what was trendy at the time. You had a lot of people from Manhattan, some Bridge and Tunnel, but it was definitely more.
This Bridge and Tunnel work, it's so funny to hear. It's like classing people.
It is. It's like cast in India.
Awful, guys.
It's like, you're from Brooklyn, you can't come in.
Yep.
But yeah, so Danceteria was just a vibing, trendy place. I was maybe here twice.
Yeah.
So I don't have many memories, but we were here. When you came to Manhattan nightclubs, you went to them all.
Yeah.
But you'll find, off camera, I was telling you that once you find 4 or 5 that you like and you vibe with, you just keep going back until they close and you find a new place. That wall looks Danceteria-ish.
Now, if you'd been to Danceteria You guys write in the comments what you see and what reminds you of the nightclub. Look at that old roof there with the little tiled windows. That's amazing. So this is where Madonna did her first performance as a nightclub back in the day.
The nightclub back in the 80s. Danceteria, one of the top clubs, yeah.
What was the name?
Danceteria.
Yeah. Danceteria.
Right here.
So we're talking about
82, 83.
Oh, I wasn't doing something else. I was not even thinking to come to the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Where you from?
Italy.
Nice, very nice. Beautiful.
So you said that this was a discotheque.
Yeah. A really popular one.
Really, this space.
Yeah. It might have been extended too. It definitely was extended. It might have been.
Oh, it was more.
It was 30 West 21st, so it could have been the whole building. First floor.
Oh my gosh. Good to know.
So, Jeff, who would have DJ'd here?
Actually, I think Jellybean might have had a little stint here.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Well, that was an amazing bit of history, this place. Yeah, can't wait to see what you guys comment about. I found you on YouTube, actually. There was a really cool video about the club that you used to DJ at. Wasn't in Manhattan, it was over in Brooklyn, or was it?
Actually, Long Island, Nassau
Island.
County, but we had a lot of Brooklyn, Queens people coming.
What was that place called? JAMZ, right?
It was called JAMZ, previously called Focus, back in the mid to late 80s when they changed it over with new ownership. Yeah. When I started DJing there.
Like the music you guys played there was so cool. Like you had a nice range of electronic, disco, and then kind of pop as well, you know?
So the thing with that is I was able, by that point, it was like 1988, I think I started there. And yeah, so I used to love playing freestyle and house. And the club owners, especially my good friend Roy, who I'm still in touch with, he was actually in my bridal party. Yep. He used to make me throw in new wave music like Erasure and pop and the Jackson 5. So even though you hear that on the video and the crowd's going nuts, I didn't want to play it. I just wanted to keep it all house and hip hop and freestyle and some disco thrown in. But it worked. If you see the video, it's fantastic.
All right, what street are we on now?
So right now we're on East 14th Street. Yep. Right off of Union Square, coming up to one of the most popular, successful clubs ever. And it's not just the 80s and 90s, but it was existing for decades before as, you know, I think the 50s and 60s. It wasn't a nightclub, but it was a venue. People danced. So in case you've never heard of it, it's called the Palladium. Palladium, also owned by Peter Gation.
Now, what are we looking at here? What is this building?
Okay, so this is the NYU, New York University college dorms.
Yeah.
They tore down, they bought the Palladium, I don't know what year, tore it down and built these dorms. So there's nothing left whatsoever of the original.
But let's just walk in.
We can walk in.
Because we'll be in the same spot, at least where maybe the dance floor was or something.
And get weird looks from security. Oh look, they got the name. Look.
There it is. How are you going, sir? This used to be the biggest nightclub in New York called Palladium. Yeah. You don't know? So good. Oh, okay.
No problem. Yeah, totally nothing connected to it whatsoever.
Yeah. But I mean, look, they still at least keep the name, Palladium.
So we can film outside.
Yeah, it's okay. We're going outside.
Everyone's got to stick up their ass, man.
Yeah.
Security just threw us out of the Palladium dorms, thinking we were not supposed to be there, which we're not, but we just wanted to record the place and stand where the Palladium was. Yeah. So this was the entrance was somewhere over here. There was these iconic steps that were lit up, and they were moved to the Tribeca rooftop downtown, which is a venue.
Well, they moved the steps.
They took the steps. They were that iconic that Tribeca rooftop owners bought the steps when this place was sold and moved them to his venue. So when you have a wedding there, you have the steps.
Palladium. And would the steps take you up to a mezzanine or something? Or
yes, you'd walk in the club and the steps took you into the club.
Oh,
took you up,
so it was
up.
elevated, it was on a level. Okay.
There were many levels. It was sort of set up like a movie theater on the top level, and you'd look down, people would just hang out there and drink, or if you met somebody, you talk to them. But the dance floor was straight down ahead of you.
Right.
And it was tremendous. There's actually someone created like a 3D virtual tour of it. Have you seen it?
No.
I'll send you the link. I gotta find it.
Okay, we'll put the link in the info, guys.
It's really cool. It gives you a good feel of how the club looked. But anyway, Club MTV filmed here.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that show?
No.
So MTV had a show called Club MTV during the 90s, maybe late 80s too. And a lot of my friends from Long Island were on the show because they were professional dancers. And they used to come here and film all afternoon. David Morales, I think, played here.
Okay. Studio 54, all the celebrities were going there. And after that, do you think, what was the most monumental club after that?
For celebrities?
Like, was Palladium up there?
It was, but low key. Like you'd come here and be escorted to that balcony area.
Yes.
And like VIP. So people knew you were there, but club people didn't care because you were like, oh, whatever. It was normal.
To be honest, I've never been a fan of VIP areas.
Me either.
Like
Bottle service, hate
like
it.
you sort of sit down and you're like, oh, I'm special. And I just like to dance close to the DJ.
And mingle.
And talk to real people.
A lot of the times, it's you could argue the other way too, because one story, we didn't visit this club, the China Club, next to the Beacon Theater on Broadway. But the first time I went, we go in, I'm by the bar buying drinks for us, and behind me is the red ropes. There's like a VIP section.
Yeah, right.
And there's a commotion. I see camera lights. Turn around, it's Eddie Murphy.
Oh, wow.
So I turn around, get my drink, turn around, gives me eye contact, and I must have been holding one drink, I don't remember, but I just said, Eddie, what's going on? And he shook my hand. I was like, what's going on, man? Hey, man, how you doing? Great. So it's a pretty cool story. It's my most famous story, besides people I've worked with. So I understand the line there because you don't want to get attacked.
No, fair enough. Like if you're actually someone in the limelight, you know, not the nightclub.
Right.
You need that little bit of space because you just get swamped. All right, we're just walking up to what used to be Cat Club.
The Cat Club, not as popular as many of the other clubs we visited or mentioned. However, it was popular amongst the nightclub people. Like if you went to the Palladium, you knew Cat Club was here. And Palladium, while it was fantastic, it was also a large club.
Right.
So you'd have 2,000 people in there and you're like, oh, get me out of here.
Was this more like, we call it the hospo, as in hospitality. That's people working in the bars, in the nightclubs, the DJs as well. And after they would do their sets or work a shift, they would end up at a club afterwards.
Yes.
Does that happen here?
You definitely got that here as well. Those people would not go to a Palladium because they worked it. They wouldn't go to a Limelight. They wanted more something off the beaten path, even though it's 2 blocks away. But the vibe here was a little bit more artsy and downtown feel. Even though that's 14th Street and Limelight was 21st Street, the further downtown you got a more of a downtown vibe, which means hip, clothing was different. Whatever was super trendy was being worn here. And the Palladium, some of it, but you have more dressed up people. This is more trendy village, even though it's literally a block away. It's weird how it broke up. So you'd walk into this place and the music, again, was more club, nightclubby, a little new wave thrown in, a little punk. It was mostly clubby though, and you had gorgeous people. Every club we've been to had gorgeous people. I actually never wanted to come here.
Right.
So I had a girlfriend at the time,
Yeah.
and she's like, we gotta go to the Cat Club. I'm
yeah.
like, what the hell's the Cat Club? So we went, I loved it. The vibe was great. We came back a whole batch of times.
Oh, cool. And would you be dancing here or drinking? Or
Both.
Both, yeah.
You wouldn't get the Bridge and Tunnel crowd here as much.
Right.
Also, I forgot to bring out the price of drinks. I remember clearly because I thought it was ridiculously expensive. All the clubs we've been to, a shot was $12.
Back then?
Back then.
$12?
So I thought it was crazy, but now my kids tell me it's $20.
It hasn't gone.
And
Inflation
more.
hasn't gone that up that much.
But $12.
It's still expensive, but like,
A shot.
do they have a door charge
Yes.
to most of these clubs
Most.
as well? So you
Midweek.
had to be rolling in it a bit to.
On a Wednesday or Thursday,
One shot, $12. I still can't get over that.
they would have ladies' nights, like on a Wednesday or Thursday, to pack the place with women. And when you have pack a place with women, who follows?
Yeah,
The guys.
yeah,
and they
yeah.
pay for the drinks after 11, 12 o'clock, whatever it was.
But I mean, hey, we're in New York, right? It's an expensive city.
Yeah.
Like,
So you go out, you got to bring enough.
yeah. It's for ballers, right?
Yeah,
So you got enough dough, get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. Get the f*** out of here. You can't afford it. Go to Queens.
Hey guys, if you've been watching and enjoying this, subscribe to the channel. Also check out our other Lost Nightclub videos. And we're also selling these shirts here. This is a exclusive first edition Lost Nightclub t-shirt. Find the link below. That'll help support the channel and we can do some more of these, guys. I appreciate your support so far.
All right, so right here, this is Astor Place. Back in the 80s, there's a very, very famous barber shop right where Temple Fitness is right there. It was called the Astor Place Barbers. And it was like $8 a haircut. And everybody came here from Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan because it was so well known and it was full of like old Italian guys and everyone got the greatest haircuts. This is called the East Village. And on this block was Tower Records, like one of their iconic store. And the shops that were here, these were all the trendy shops were, where everyone who went to clubs like the Cat Club would shop here and go there.
It looks like it's changed a lot.
It has changed. It got a little gentrified and very commercial.
More generic.
When I used to promote nightclubs back in the 80s, here comes a beeping horn, we used to put the flyers, remember I told you how we cut the corners off so people would come, on all the stores here, in the stores here, because you got the cool people and you wanted them coming to those clubs. So we knew how to use target marketing, demographics, even though we had no idea what we were doing. Actually, I was in college, so I understood the concept. I know if you want pretty, good-looking, well-dressed people with money, you go to where they shop.
Right.
So now you can't do that. Now there's no flyers. Everything's online, which is fine. It's just a modern way of promoting. But Tower Records was right here. I was here all the time. I used to buy tons of 12-inch disco records here. There were a lot of record stores back then, but Tower was one of my favorite.
What I've noticed is that there's a McDonald's and a Dunkin' Donuts
everywhere.
Pretty much every mile.
Everywhere. Less than a mile. It's like every 4 blocks.
Every 4 blocks. Okay, kicking it off with the final one of the day is a place called Paradise Garage. And this actually used to be a garage here back in the day, and then they converted it into a nightclub. Unfortunately, that whole building got knocked down. And now we're looking at this big thing. So
Paradise Garage, another iconic New York City nightclub. I only came here 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So there was similarities and differences between here and the Fun House. Music-wise, they were very similar. They had a DJ here, legend, his name was Larry Levan, passed away late 80s from AIDS. Legend, great selection of music as well. Yeah, so basically Larry Levan and Jellybean Benitez, to me, played very similar. Of course, there's gonna be people who say, no, what are you talking about? That's fine. Yeah, it's definitely not the garage anymore, but we're going to where the garage was located.
Key card, maybe.
So there was a long hallway for people to check in and hang and pay.
Yeah.
That was actually very similar to the Fun House too. Once you were inside, it was very similar. Just a long hallway, a lot of people, because New York weather, half the year is not good, so you had to have someplace inside for people to wait to come in. Inside was just a big cavernous garage with fantastic music.
Yeah. Do you think they've left anything from the old building in here?
Definitely not.
Yeah, it looks pretty... So we're in the middle of the street here. Why are we in the street?
Because we're looking for a Larry Levan way. The sign that we just Googled is missing.
Now, just over there, we found out where it was. There was a sign. They made a sign for him, and they named the street Larry Levan Way.
There was a huge party here in honor of Larry
in
2014.
Wow.
And it was a whole big, there was probably like
street party.
Probably like 3,000-4,000 people here.
Wow.
And you should link to on the YouTube, show them how the party was. And there was a sign over there, and it's gone. So either the city took it down or someone took it for their bedroom.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Which is a New York thing to do. But that's a pretty scumbaggy kind of thing to do.
Okay, so Jeff, looking back at the whole era, how do you look at it? Do you look at it with good memories, or is it kind of mixed? Or
No, I look at it with totally good memories. Yeah. It was an era in time that can't be replicated. And as I mentioned a few times, when you're living through history, you don't realize it. So at the time, you don't think it's going to end. Like, I was in the 80s, my friends are in the 90s going through it. Then in the early 2000s, it started dying down a little, and it doesn't exist anymore, especially in New York City. In other cities in Europe, yes, but one of the best times of my life, it shaped a lot of who I am. I still focus on the present and the future. I don't live in the past, but it's always great to revisit, and I'm glad we did that today. Yeah. And everyone who was there, I hope I did justice to this. So thanks everybody, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That concludes our New York tour. Any of your own comments to add to this, put them in below. Don't be shy, share some stories with us. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, sir. That was amazing.